Hey, what is going on, guys? DK. Back at you with another video here to break down the 10-game NBA main slate on Wednesday. Before I get into the video, if you guys are new to the channel, my name's DK. I make daily videos and live stream for NBA and NFL slates on Draftkings, and I'm now making videos for NBA Top Shot, which are basically virtual trading cards. If you guys are unable to watch these YouTube videos, I also upload an Apple Podcast. I have a link in the description below. It's called the DKDFS Show. If you guys are interested in signing up for premium content, I offer that on patreon.com. An esports package, which includes Call of Duty and CSGO, and an NBA package as well. And then I want to thank Prize Picks for sponsoring this show. If this is your first time watching or you're unfamiliar with Prize Picks, the idea is you're taking over-under on fantasy points. So again, they have a lot of players. They have 8 players already out for tomorrow. They're going to be a lot more as the day goes along. But yeah, you're taking, which players you feel really good about. Maybe you think one's too low. You can mix and match. Again, they have college basketball, they have esports, they have PGA, and it's fun because you're not playing against anyone; you're just playing against the house. So if you think there's one really miss score, then yeah, you can go ahead and take that. So if you guys want to sign up, you use the code DKDFS. DKDFS, all one word. Link down below. You get 100% match up to $100. So if you put $100 in, you get $200 to play with, basically a free $100. And then I just finally want to thank you guys for the support on the videos, live streams, as well as on Twitter. It is greatly, greatly appreciated. If you guys do enjoy this content, if you leave a like button on the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and hit the notification bell so you don't want to upload videos you don't want to go live. We'll be doing a YouTube live stream before lock to go over everything, answer all you guys' questions, and let's aim for 200 likes on this video, guys. But yeah, with that out of the way, let's jump into it. So before I talk about players and their prices for this 10-game slate, let's look back my lineup here from Tuesday. So Tuesday, currently in the cash right now at halftime with James Harden left. So I was really hammering down these stars and scrubs build. And it's looking like that's going to be the optimal build. Unfortunately for me, I whiffed on a couple of values. So we'll go over my lineup. Here, I can get out of the way so you guys can fully see all these scores. But yeah, so went with Campozo, RJ Hampton, LeBron James, JaMychal Green, Robert Williams, James Harden, Giannis Antetokounmpo, and Tristan Thompson. So I ended up, a couple of people asked me about it in the YouTube live stream and the Patreon live stream as well, as using those 2 Boston centers. I took the risk and did it. Now, it paid off. Brad Stevens did not use anyone else at the center. It was strictly Thompson and Robert Williams when Daniel Tice was out. So that worked out. Robert Williams did have 5 steals. Obviously, that's more of an outlier, so that helped a bit. And then Tristan Thompson was solid as well. Just missed the double-double, 12 points, 9 boards. Where I whiffed was the Denver value with JaMychal Green and RJ Hampton. And man, that was just super frustrating, especially with JaMychal Green. Now, I knew RJ Hampton was a little bit of a risk with him coming off the bench, but I figured he would play 20, 25 minutes at almost min price. I was just hoping he'd get me like 15 to 20. He was not great. Really, the offense was just get the ball to Jamal Murray, get the ball to Nikola Jokic, and get out of the way. And once again, Michael Porter Jr., not exactly sure why, was really popular. He's about 40% owned. I get him as like a contrarian play, but Mike Malone has shown over the last couple of years, he will pull the plug on Michael Porter Jr. if he's, not playing well, not playing great defense. There's been many times where they've, cut his minutes short. But yeah, with JaMychal Green, was he a bad play? He was 60% owned. He was really popular. There were a couple other plays that I mentioned here that I could have gone to. One being Jared Vanderbilt, the other being Derrick Jones Jr. Both were pretty solid. I think Derrick Jones Jr. had a really good game. Now, should I have played Derrick Jones Jr. over JaMychal Green? I mean, I was thinking Denver run an 8-man rotation here. I thought, and JaMychal Green would kind of run the backup 5. They did not. They actually extended it to a 10-man rotation, and JaMychal Green barely played at all without Jokic. When Jokic was on the court, basically JaMychal Green was on the court, which really hurt his upside, right? I wanted some minutes with him in the backup 5, which he didn't really get, or didn't get a lot of minutes. I didn't see, at least. So that hurt. I was expecting the 8-man rotation. I was expecting JaMychal Green to play some backup 5. So, and again, he was 62% owned in this one too. Again, there were a couple other ones I could have went to with Vanderbilt and Derrick Jones Jr. Again, RJ Hampton, I knew that was a risk, but I had to play someone that cheap to get LeBron, to get Giannis, to get James Harden into my lineup. So, Hey, Giannis was really, really good, 72 fantasy points. LeBron, solid at 60 fantasy points. I mean, the other stars got there too. Dame had a really good night. Jokic had a big night too. So I think that, let's see, what is the winning lineup right now? I'm curious. 334. So, yeah, these basically the stars and scrubs. 2 stars with 2 more guys in the mid-range being John Morant and Zion Williamson. The answer is yes. I'm very tilted about that John Morant game. I've played him a lot, and when I finally hop off, he has the big game in a blowout too. That was in a blowout, so he could have had a bigger game, but he went with the winning lineup actually right now is RJ Hampton and Robert Williams together with Derrick Jones Jr. went for 25. So that's it for the look back, guys. Hope you guys had a good night, and let's see if we can make some money here for this 10-game slate. Just check Bovada. I'm pretty sure, let me refresh this, but I don't see any games out right now. Yeah, I don't see anything right now. So I'm going to go team by team here. Let's start off with New York and Orlando. So New York, Julius Randle just went for the massive game last game, 41 minutes, 64 fantasy points. I think Julius Randle is normally going to play, mid to high 30s minutes. He's a guy that, again, can stuff the stat sheet. This is a good matchup, too. Like, Orlando has not been good defensively. Orlando is pretty bad right now with a lot of guys out. So I think Julius Randle is, once again, a pretty solid play. Now, I liked him better at 8-7, but I still think he's in play at 9-5. The guards, I don't trust it on a 10-game slate. I'm probably just going to look elsewhere. I mean, you can take shots on guys like Quickly and Rose for GPPs, but there's no real upside for more than like 20, 25-ish minutes. So they're going to have to be really productive in that time. Nerlens Noel, the price is slowly coming up. I'm expecting, somewhere around 25, 30-ish minutes. He's a decent point per minute guy. Again, 4-7 is viable. He's not like a terrible play. And then Taj Gibson will play the backup 5, but I don't think we have to go there in this slate. I think that is just getting too cute. So really, it's Noel, it's Julius Randle for me. On the Orlando side, Vucevic at 10-1, that feels a little pricey. I think you can go there in tournaments, but no longer cash game play at that price. Again, no Aaron Gordon, no Cole Anthony. Ennis and Fournier are both questionable. Got to keep an eye on that. If they are both out, then we can look to Terrence Ross for GPPs. He played a lot of the point guard actually when Michael Carter-Williams was not out there. He played 36 minutes. I think he would be a viable tournament play for sure if both those guys are out. And then MCW himself had a terrible first half, picked up a little bit there in the second half. I would like him at this price. I'm expecting around 30 minutes. So MCW, Terrence Ross, if both those guys are in fact out. Other value options, Dwayne Bacon at 4.8 just seems priced about right. Then you have a couple cheap guys like Okiki and Kem Birch. If I had to pick, I would go Kem Birch. But yeah, that's really it for the Magic. Let's see, it's Chason, Randall. I'm curious to see whether he'll be available or not. I'll have to keep an eye on that. He's mid-price. They released Frank Mason, so he will be the backup point guard. We'll see if he's available. Maybe that would be a high risk, high reward tournament play. Atlanta and Boston. So Trae Young, as I always say, is in play for tournaments. Not really cash game play at that price point. Capella is also viable for tournaments. The minutes fluctuate with him, right? There's some games where he'll play very little. Again, some of these were in foul trouble, or some games he was in foul trouble. But other games like that last game, he played 36 minutes. Now, did that game go to overtime? I want to say it might have. I probably should have looked back at that. But that game could have went to overtime. Either way, Capella is a guy that if the minutes are going to be over 30, there's definitely a chance he can get value at this price. But we've seen a few times now his minutes get kind of cut short, so that's why I'd say more of a tournament play. Herter, Gallinari, Reddish. I don't know if I want to go to the secondary Hawks in this 10-game slate against the Boston Celtics. Moving on to the Boston Celtics. Tatum, Brown, Walker at 6'6", 7'9", and 8'7", respectively. If I had to pick, it would be Jason Tatum at this price. Love the matchup for him. He should play 35-plus minutes in a close game. So I think Tatum is probably the guy for me if I had to pick one of those Boston main players. Big news is Daniel Tice, right? He is currently questionable. Let's see. We'll see if he's available. We're not sure. If he is, in fact, out again, then it's going to be Tristan Thompson and Robert Williams. I think that'll man the center position. And this is a bigger Atlanta Hawks front court, so I don't really think they can go small ball with like Semi Ojeleye or Grant Williams. If that is, in fact, the case, I expect Tristan Thompson to start and play mid to high 20s minutes. He played 28 minutes the last game. Would like him for value. And then you would have Robert Williams in play for tournaments that probably gets 15 to 20-ish minutes. He played 20 minutes tonight, went for 30 fantasy points. Again, he's a really good point per guy. So would actually like both those Boston centers if, in fact, Daniel Tice is out. Moving on to Houston and Philadelphia. So Oladipo, Eric Gordon, both doubtful. So this Houston Rockets team should be pretty thin once again. John Wall, even though it's a bad matchup, I do like him a lot just because he is going to be the clear main guy in this offense won for 50 plus fantasy points that last game. I do like John Wall. Boogie Cousins, this is a big Philadelphia front court. Like, I don't think they can really use anyone else against Joel Embiid. So, like, maybe this is a game where Boogie has to play 30 plus minutes. I mean, it's not been good recently, right? He actually got pulled early in this game, too, for Ray Spalding. And Ray Spalding got a couple fouls. And then, I don't know if you saw, Ray Spalding actually got released today. So, like, they are thin in the front court. I don't think they can go, like, Jayshawn Tate against Joel Embiid. So, curious to see, maybe this is a game Cousins has to play more minutes just because they need a big body against Embiid. So you can take a shot there in tournaments. Obviously not something I'm really confident in. And then you have, the secondary plays that are firmly in play with no Oladipo and Eric Gordon. Now, all these guys got priced up a bit, but if this game stays close, they will play big minutes, especially if PJ Tucker's out. This is actually pretty big news because PJ Tucker, not someone I want to play, but if he's out, that opens up a lot of minutes for these guys. So Jayshawn Tate, House, Sterling Brown, David Nwaba are the guys we'll look to. If I had to pick, it probably would be David Nwaba because he's the cheapest at 4.3K. Don't mind Sterling Brown coming out of the bench. I expect 20-ish minutes, maybe a little bit more. And then you have House and Tate that should get good run as well. House kind of reliant on the scoring. Jayshawn Tate can do a little bit more of the peripherals. So maybe if you're going for a safer option to be Tate, maybe more of the GBP play being Daniel House. All right, on the Philadelphia side, so Joel Embiid is probable for this game. I mean, he should be able to feast. So, the price is not amazing on him, but I think he's firmly in play for tournaments. And with Embiid in, it kind of just takes everyone else out of play for me on the Philadelphia side. Indiana and Minnesota, I do like DeMontis Sabonis a decent amount here at 9.7K. Should play mid to high 30s minutes. It's a fantastic matchup. So, yeah, still, a guy that I'm looking to at the top. The price is not the best. He was, below 9K about a week ago, but I think he's still firmly in play because minutes alone plus the matchup. Again, Brogdon should play 35 plus minutes. I think he is a little bit too cheap. I do have some interest there. If Doug McDermott is out, I think TJ McConnell actually would be a decent value play. Probably would play mid to high 30s minutes. Played 37 in regulation. Again, he's a guy that can stuff the stat sheet. Now, he has had a couple straight games of 4 steals, 2 blocks, 3 steals, 2 blocks. So is that sustainable? Probably not. But if there is no Doug McDermott, he will have to play big minutes. On the Minnesota Timberwolves side, so Karl-Anthony Towns at 9.3K. Kind of had a floor game there against the Lakers. It was actually Anthony Edwards that had a big game, but I'm fine going back to Cat. Again, if he's going to play 33, 34 minutes, he's definitely viable for GPPs. Again, it was Anthony Edwards that had the big game. He went for 51 fantasy points. Now, do I expect 51 again from him? No. But the good thing with Anthony Edwards is when he's out in the court, he is shooting the ball. 21, 15, 20 shot attempts. So if you want to go there for tournaments, that's fine. But I would not expect 50 again. And then Jared Vanderbilt for value. Played 29 minutes that last game. If he starts again, I'm expecting mid to high 20s minutes. A guy that, can get the peripherals with the rebounds, assists, blocks, steals. So I would have some interest in Jared Vanderbilt if he starts again for value. Denver and Washington. So there's a lot of guys questionable here for Denver right now. Nikola Jokic is in a fantastic matchup, so I do like him a lot there if you can get there. Jamal Murray for tournaments firmly in play. He had a big game today. And MPJ, just a tournament play, right? He's been very up and down. Hard to get really confident there. Barton, Millsap, Monte Morris, Gary Harris. We'll see about these guys. If they're all out once again, then it's probably going to be Campozo for me for value because he played huge minutes. I would like him if all those guys are out once again. I mean, we could look to JaMychal Green, but like I said, it wasn't really great to see that he barely played the backup 5. He played strict mostly when he was out there was when Nikola Jokic was out there too. So be Campozo. Again, could you look to RJ Hampton? I guess, but like that, it would be Campozo would be the first guy in for me on Denver. On the Washington side, so Russell Westbrook, Brad Beal at 10K at 9.8K respectively. I think both look like decent spend-ups. It is a good matchup. If I had to pick, it would be Russell Westbrook. And the reason is because Russell Westbrook is a guy that can get the peripherals, right? He can get the assists, the rebound, the ball. When Westbrook is out there, Beal is a little bit more reliant on the scoring. So when they're priced about the same, I will just prefer Russell Westbrook. And then the only other guy I mentioned here is Mo Wagner at 3.8. He was in foul trouble and still played 24 minutes. I think he could have been on pace for maybe closer to the 30-minute mark. Now, the worry here obviously is going up against Nikola Jokic, foul trouble. But if he does stay out of foul trouble, and he's a decent point per minute guy, I think you can look to him as a GBP value play. Detroit and Chicago, so Jeremy Grant at 7.6. He has been not great recently, 24, 28 fancy points, have been shooting the ball terribly. This is a get-right matchup against Chicago, so I'm fine going back there for tournaments if you want to. Mason Plumlee, you guys know I really like targeting bigs against the Chicago Bulls front court. No, I'm expecting probably around 30 to 35 minutes, somewhere in that range. He's a guy that has triple-double upside, honestly. And again, no more Blake Griffin. So Plumlee, even at 7.2, I think is viable. Now, the guy that does stand out here is DeLon Wright at 6K. I think that is too cheap. I love targeting players against the Chicago Bulls team. He's going to play about 35 minutes as long as nothing crazy happens. I do like DeLon Wright quite a bit here. And then, yeah, Josh Jackson at 6'3". With no Blake Griffin, he'll probably play somewhere around 25 to 30 minutes. He's a good tournament play. Sadiq Bey got priced up to 5.5. The minutes will probably be there, but I don't love the price on him. And then value-wise, not a ton I love. Steve Mikhailuk, maybe you can take a shot at him in tournaments. 21, 25 minutes last couple games with no Blake Griffin. You can go there, but he is pretty reliant on scoring. On the Chicago Bulls side, it's basically Zach LaVine at 9.4. I do think he's a really solid tournament play. Again, he's playing big minutes. He's stuffing the stat sheet. It is a good matchup here. You can definitely run a mini game stack if you want. I do like LaVine. I do have some interest in Kobe White, too, at 6'3". Played 44 minutes against 39 in regulation, 34, 34, and 39 minutes last 3 games. If he's going to continue to play mid to high 30s minutes, then he is firmly in play at that price. But everyone else, kind of just stay away from me. All right, last 3 or 4 games here. Portland and New Orleans. I do like Damian Lillard a lot here. Again, he is just the clear number one in this offense with no McCollum, no Nurkic. 57, 61 fantasy points last couple games. New Orleans has been involved in a lot more shootouts recently, so I think Damian Lillard is one of the better spin-ups of the slate. Enes Kanter at 7K will probably get over 30 minutes. He shot the ball terribly, 2 of 10, still went for 34 fantasy points. I think he's a decent tournament play. And then those wings with, if Rodney Hood is out, these guys will have to play big minutes. Robert Covington, I think, played 37 minutes. I'm fine with him. Again, Gary Trent will play big minutes if you want to go there. Derrick Jones Jr., mentioned him for value. Again, I'm expecting about 30 minutes if there's no Rodney Hood. I think he's a decent value play at that price point. Even Anthony Simons had a decent game off the bench, did foul out in 18 minutes. I think you could use him for value. And then finally, Harry Giles out, so Nasir Little played that backup 5. I was expecting about 15 minutes. He played 17 minutes, but that's nothing more than a contrarian value play. On the New Orleans side, so I actually do have some interest in Ingram and Zion. I love the matchup against Portland, and they're continuing to put up some nice scores. And that tonight was in a blowout, too. So Ingram and Zion Williamson, you can definitely run a little game stack here, like pair one of these guys with Damian Lillard. I do kind of like that. Lonzo versus Bledsoe. Lonzo's at 6'5". Both these guys are solid plays, neither are priorities. Steven Adams at 5'1" is questionable. He left that game to a lower back injury. If he is out, then Willy Hernangomez, if he starts, I think is one of the best value plays of the slate. And then I would assume Jackson Hayes would probably be the backup, who would be a viable value play as well. Josh Hart probably plays somewhere around 25 to 30 minutes. He's had some upside games, so I think you can look to him as a value play. All right, moving on to OKC and Memphis. So, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander at 8.5K. I think there's a chance he might be back, so we'll have to keep an eye on this one. If he is in fact back, then that really hurts everyone and probably takes everyone out of play for me. If Shai is out, then there's a couple guys that are viable. Maladon in his first game back played about 30 minutes, but I don't love the price there. Diallo came off the bench, played about 31 minutes. Again, he'll be a higher usage guy at the bench. You can look to in tournaments. Horford is a guy that does have some upside, but also has flashed a little bit of a lower floor, so more of a GPP play. Basically, everyone kind of on the Thunder are GPP plays. I think, maybe a value play we look to is Isaiah Roby, who actually played 24 minutes. If he's going to play mid-20s minutes, and the 4K price is a little bit too cheap. So that's really where I look if SGA is out. If SGA is in, then it's probably no one for me. Maybe SGA if there's no limitations, but really that is pretty significant news there. On the Memphis side, so I do like Ja. Again, he was on pace for a massive game the last game, and then it blew out. You guys know I'm a huge Ja Morant fan. The price went down a little bit. I do like the matchup, too. This game should stay close. So Ja is definitely someone looking to in the mid-range. Jonas Valanciunas at 7.3. Just a good point from a guy. He had an off game last game, but I'm fine going to him in tournaments. Other options like Slow-Mo, Clark, Brooks, just secondary plays. Grayson Allen seems priced about right at 5K. So nothing else I'm really interested in. Miami and Golden State, it's really Butler and Jimmy that I think look pretty solid. Jimmy Butler at 8.8 again. We're just getting an aggressive Jimmy Butler. Triple-double upside. He went for 30, 10, and 10 that last game. So, yeah, I'm perfectly fine with Jimmy even at that price. And Bam Adebayo, this is a small Golden State front court. He should be able to feed. So both the Miami guys look pretty solid at their respective prices. Other than that, though, not a ton I love. Nunn was in some foul trouble last game. I'm expecting him to probably play about 30-ish minutes. But there's always some risk. There's no guarantee with those minutes. Moving on to Golden State. So Steph Curry is viable for tournaments as always, but at 10.5, not really a priority for me. Draymond Green at 6.8K did go for almost 50 fantasy points that last game. I think he is viable because of the fact that he stuffs the stat sheet, because of the fact that there's no Wiseman, there's no Looney, so he's going to have to play big minutes, probably 35 plus in a close game. So I do have some interest there in Draymond at that price. Oubre, Wiggins, secondary options. Everyone else are kind of just, stay aways. Finally, Utah and the Clippers. So the big news is Mike Conley is currently questionable. If Mike Conley is in fact back, then there's not a ton I love on the Utah side. If Mike Conley's out, then it's once again Donovan Mitchell. I think has some upside. Going to run the point. Back-to-back kind of subpar games for him, but this is, especially if Kawhi is out, a better matchup because no Paul George as well. And then guys like Ingles and Clarkson become a little bit viable. I don't love the price on Clarkson after a good shooting game. But again, that's the type of upside. Like he can, if he's hitting shots, he can have that upside, but he is a guy that is a little bit boom or bust, especially at that price. And then finally, the LA Clippers. So the big news is Kawhi Leonard. He's currently questionable. If Kawhi Leonard plays, then honestly, probably not going to get to anyone on this team. If Kawhi Leonard is out, then we got Lou Williams, who I think is a good tournament play. The price at almost 7K is not amazing, but he should play mid-30s minutes and would be the number one player on offense. Marcus Morris had a big game last game, was in some foul trouble. I think he would be a decent play at 5'7". We do have Pat Beverly. Looks like he'll be back for this one. Now, they've kind of been taking it easy on his minutes. We'll see. If he's going to play 25 minutes, I think you could use him for value, but then kind of take a hit to Man, Kennard with Pat Beverly back, so don't love either of them. Reggie Jackson, I think, probably still plays around 30 minutes, but really where I'd look to probably first, if there's no Kawhi Leonard, would be take a shot on Lou Williams in GPPs. Again, if Kawhi Leonard is in, then I'm probably just going to stay away from this LA Clippers team. So that's it for the video today, guys. If you have been enjoying the content so far, I would really appreciate if you leave a like button on the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and hit the notification bell so you don't upload videos you don't know live. Again, I will be doing a YouTube live stream before lock to answer all your guys' questions, so make sure to check it out. Thanks again. Have a great night, guys, and I'll see you all tomorrow.